I'm Megan Morrone, and I host iOS Today, i5 for the iPhone, and Tech News Tonight. And I am going to review Microsoft's new Band 2, specifically how it works when you pair it with an iPhone. First, I should tell you that I am devoted to my Apple Watch. I have worn it every day since the day I got it back in April, but I will try to offer you a review as if you didn't already own an Apple Watch. Let's start with an overview of the Band 2. The focus of the device is fitness. It features a continuous heart rate monitor that can track calorie burn, your sleep length and quality, and you can also track runs, bike rides, golf, and other sports. The Band 2 delivers alerts for email, text messages, calendar, phone calls, and some other app alerts. The haptic feedback is similar to the notifications on the Apple Watch. A little tap to the wrist, a gentle reminder that's much less jarring or distracting to others than a loud sound alert. There are 11 different sensors on the Microsoft Band 2. A GPS will track your runs and your bike rides without having to bring your phone along with you. A barometer tracks elevation, and if you turn on the UV monitor, the Band 2 will let you know when you've been out in the sun too long, and it will even remind you to put on your sunscreen. All of these sensors make the Band 2 an excellent overall health tracker. You can also add your Starbucks card to the Band so you can pay for your next Frappuccino straight from your wrist. That is really the only thing not healthy about this fitness wearable. The Band 2 is a decent smartwatch. The default setting is configured so that you have to press the main button to see the time. That's designed to help the Band 2 live up to its promise of a 48-hour battery life. But once someone was kind enough to point this out to me, I realized that the Band 2 also includes an activate on wrist raise feature like the Apple Watch. The Band 2 even offers an always-on setting that the Apple Watch does not include. That's a nice feature for someone who has always worn a watch and doesn't like having to wait for it to turn on just to see the time. The OLED display is full color, and the curved design is nicer than the first generation Band, but not quite as nice looking or as comfortable as the Apple Watch. It's easier to see the screen if you wear the Band on the inside of your wrist, but I don't think that's the best look. The Band 2 comes in 3 sizes: small, medium, and large. This is the small. You can pair the Band 2 with an iPhone, an Android phone, and of course a Windows phone. Pairing with a Windows phone will give you the most features, including the ability to reply to text messages with voice commands or a tiny on-screen keyboard. You can also use Microsoft's digital assistant Cortana with the Band 2 and a Windows phone to take notes and set reminders, but you cannot do that with an iPhone. Here's how the Band works. There are 2 buttons, the main power button and an activity button. The main power button turns the watch on. The activity button lets you start an activity like a run, sleep tracking, a timer, or stopwatch, or any of the other activities. One note about sleep tracking: the Band 2 will automatically track your sleep without using the sleep tile or starting sleep. But if you don't use the sleep tile, notifications will still come on in the watch in the night, and that will surely disrupt your sleep. To dig into the data that your Band collects, get the free Microsoft Health app. To sign in, you'll need a Microsoft account, which is free, and which you already have if you've ever had a Windows PC or used OneDrive or Hotmail or Outlook.com. So let's assume that you're trying to decide between the Microsoft Band 2 and the Apple Watch for you or for a loved one. Here are 3 reasons you might want to choose the Band 2 over the Apple Watch. 1, you want a wearable specifically designed to help you improve your health. The Band 2 lets you run, walk, or ride your bike without your phone using the onboard GPS. You can also measure your steps and your elevation. You can add additional guided workouts, and the Band estimates your VO2 max. That's the measure of your body's maximum capacity to use oxygen, which is a number that any serious athlete needs to know. There's also a special tile just for golfers. So if you're a golfer and you don't already have a wearable for golf, this could be the one for you. 2, the Band 2 is a good choice if you want to save $100. The basic Apple Watch is $349, but the new Band is only $249. 3, the Band 2 is a better wearable for anyone with a Windows phone, especially if you have no intention of switching to an iPhone anytime soon. There's a lot you can do with the Band 2 and your Windows phone that you'll never be able to do with an iPhone and the Band 2, or with an Apple Watch and a Windows phone. And here are 3 reasons you should buy the Apple Watch instead of the Band 2. 1, if you're going to wear your new wearable all the time, even when you dress up. The style of the Band 2 is improved over the first version, but it still looks like a fitness band and not something that you'd probably ever wear for a special occasion. If you want a fitness tracker that you can turn into a fashionable watch by switching out the Band, then you will probably want an Apple Watch. 2, you're complicated. I use the modular watch face that gives me 6 complications on the Apple Watch. I can see the time, the weather, the date, battery level, activity, and set a timer all right from the Apple Watch face. You can customize the Band 2, but you don't have nearly as many options. And 3, if you have an iPhone and you want to be able to respond to messages and make phone calls from your watch or take notes and reminders, you'll want an Apple Watch. Right now, when you pair your iPhone to the Microsoft Band, you can track fitness and see notifications, but you can't act on any of them. The Apple Watch lets you make calls, respond to text messages with smart replies, or with your voice. If your partner or another close family member has an Apple Watch, you can draw pictures to each other or send each other your heartbeat if you're into that sort of thing. Here are some more basic pros and cons. The pros, the Band 2 is a very good fitness tracker at a reasonable price for all the sensors it includes. It's pretty waterproof. It meets the IPX7 standard, which means you should be able to immerse it in water for 30 minutes at a depth of 1 meter with no ill effects. Now, if you use it right, the Band 2 battery life will last throughout the day and into the night to track your sleep. There's even a smart alarm that uses your sleep patterns to pick the exact time for you to wake up. The Microsoft Health app is easy to use. You can dig into a lot of data that can be really useful for improving your health. Here are the cons. There are a lot of tiles to choose from for the Band, but you only have room for 13 at a time. Yes, I have managed to overload my Apple Watch with dozens of useless apps, but I like having the choice to add as many as I want. You never know when you're going to need to check your stocks, control your music, add to your grocery list, and figure out the weather in Japan all at the same time. I like options. I like the recognition I get from the Apple Watch. Mock me if you like, but I enjoy being reminded to stand up and being awarded when I've reached certain goals. If you dig through the Microsoft Health app, you can see that your Band recorded that you walked the equivalent of the diameter of the Tesla crater on the moon, but the Band 2 is not going to go out of its way to tell you that. Another con is the cost. I know earlier I said it was a good fitness wearable at a good cost considering the amount of sensors it has, but you can now buy the original Band for $100, and from talking to people who have it, I'm not convinced that the Band 2 is worth the additional $150. And finally, beyond running, biking, and golf, the Band 2 isn't great at tracking fitness if you do other sports like yoga or weightlifting or dancing or horseback riding. I have the same complaint for the Apple Watch. So overall, I give the Band 2 a try, which is essentially a buy with the following ifs. If you use a Windows phone, if you're serious about improving your fitness, and if you're looking for a sleep tracker and you don't plan on wearing it all the time, even when you go out and get dressed up fancy. I am Megan Morrone. That's my review of the Microsoft Band 2. Back to you, Padre.
It's a try for Megan Morrone for the Microsoft Band 2. I think one of the most insightful remarks that she had was that it's $100 less than an Apple Watch, but then the Band 1, which goes for $100, is $150 less than the Band 2. Now, if you go to the side shot here, we've got both the Band 1 and the Band 2. They're nice, and the Band 2 definitely does improve on both the design elements and the style and some of the functionality. But the question is it $150 better? I don't know, but Megan Morrone says you should give it a try if you are a Windows Phone user. Now, I should say that we've given it to our super Windows fan in the studio, Mr. I'm sorry, what's his name again, Brian?
That's Alex Gimple.
Gimple, right?
Gimpy. Alex Gimpy.
We've given it to Alex Gimpy, and he's going to tell us whether or not this makes sense for all the Windows users out there.